A baseball player posted some interesting photographs a few years back, showing what appears to be a large bipedal creature. The images were captured on the man's deer cam, and upon reviewing them he couldn't understand what it had captured. He turned to the internet and asked whether they could provide some more information on what the camera had detected. The baseball player was Geordie Mercer, and he detailed that the creature in question had been seen on his property for a few days in a row. This was on the 18th and 19th of November. He explained that the cameras were set up in order to track some wild deer throughout the area, but on this occasion it captured something much bigger. He posted the photographs to social media and asked if anyone knew what this thing was. Some suggested that he was just messing around and making fun of people who do believe in Bigfoot, while others said that he was genuinely interested in what this thing could have been. As with any photo that has a mysterious creature in it, people are quick to share their opinions, with one commenter saying that it looks interesting, and that this matches the typical description of a creature that's now been given the name of Bigfoot. Others suggested that it may have been something like a man in a hunter costume, and that he just so happened to walk past the camera a few times, although that doesn't explain why they would have been on the property for several days running. As of right now, the photograph is used by believers as proof that America is inhabited by a large unknown humanoid. Interestingly, for hundreds of years humans have allegedly been encountering this creature, and one archaeological team actually had a run-in with one of these humanoids. One of the most interesting sightings of the skunk ape, which is said to have a relatively similar description to a Bigfoot, was recorded back in February and March of 1971, and is seen today as one of the greatest pieces of research done into the Sasquatch-like creature. Back on the 27th of February 1971, electronics engineer Homer C. Bars Osborne led a small group of friends and colleagues on an amateur archaeological expedition to investigate what he had believed to have been ancient Native American ruins found deep within the Florida Everglades, located in Broward County, Florida. According to the archaeological team, Homer Osborne was excited to get out to the location, though incredibly nervous that another group of archaeologists might beat him to the location, and so rather than going through the correct channels, led his private team of amateur archaeologists to the location during their free time. Although it's typically highly advised that amateurs do not attempt to dig up locations without the aid of an expert, to prevent any destruction to important historical sites or loss of archaeological context, Homer Osborne was enough of an expert to get the job done. Osborne's credentials include him being a member of the board of the Miami Museum of Sciences and a past president of the Peninsula Archaeological Society, a group of archaeologists who investigated places of interest across the state of Florida and its nearby islands. Additionally, members of equally impressive backgrounds accompanied Osborne on his expedition, including Professor Benson, member of the Peninsula Archaeological Society, and professor of Miami-Dade Community College with a specialty in oceanographic sciences. 3 other members of the Peninsula Archaeological Society also came along, 2 men by the name of Frank Hudson and James Spink, and an unknown and undisclosed 5th person who chose not to include themselves in the witness claims of the skunk ape encounter. According to the team of 5, they had camped near the site of the Indian Mound located deep within the Big Cypress National Preserve, and they did this for roughly 4 days, spending the entire time uncovering Native American artifacts before they experienced their startling encounter. Fearful of large animals, the group pitched their tents equidistant from each other surrounding a massive campfire that would be blazing through the night to scare away any large animals from getting too close to their campsite. But on the morning of the 5th day, sometime around 3 AM, the men claimed that they were all suddenly awakened by the sound of an inhuman screech, and that sounded like the shuffling of a large animal prowling just outside their campsite. The men all stayed within their respective tents, believing that the roar and crackling of the fire would keep the animal away. But as its screeches and shuffling grew increasingly louder, the amateur archaeologists began to worry that the animal was preparing for an attack. Without hesitation, all of the men stepped outside their tents to investigate the strange noises, when they all spotted the ape-like creature standing next to the fire and searching around the area. Due to the glow of the fire and the light from the full moon, the men claimed that they got a good viewing of the creature, estimating that it stood at a height of 8 feet, weighing more than 700 pounds, and was covered in light brown hair that stood up as if the creature was in a heightened state of alert. Standing less than 10 feet away from the men, the creature turned to face them, and it became apparent that the creature was accompanied by the rotten odour of a skunk-like smell, and it quickly went throughout the entire camp. Even though the creature's stink began to almost blind the men, they continued taking notes of the creature's design, realizing that it resembled more of a human being, given its upright bipedal stance, and had longer than normal arms that extended down below its waist, similar to the elongated forearms of most ape species. The most peculiar aspect of the creature's design, however, was that it appeared to have no defined neck, with its head positioned directly atop its shoulders, with the hump of its back almost appearing to be higher than the position of the topmost part of the animal's head. Instantly becoming terrified at the sight of the men, the large beast let out an inhuman scream, and then ran back into the nearby woods, and vanished deep within the marshlands of the surrounding swamp. Also, having been frightened by the encounter, the group of 5 amateur archaeologists set out 2-hour sleeping shifts to act as guard duty for the rest of the night. Once the sun rose, the team of men began to investigate their sighting by taking photographs of the surrounding area, taking plaster casts of the discovered footprints, measuring them out and searching the area for any more clues. According to Homer Osborne, the footprints measured 17.5 inches in length and 11 inches in width at the toes. Additionally, when investigating the surrounding area, the men noticed 3 more different footprint sizes, which led them to believe that at least 4 different creatures had been stalking around their campsite in the night. Although several of the men claimed that they wished to end the expedition, Homer Osborne pressed them on to continue as they were nearing the end of their expedition either way, and it would be better to get the credit for the discovery than leave anything of importance behind for others to claim. Several days later, when the group had nearly been entirely relieved of their stresses of the encounter, the skunk ape made another appearance shortly before the end of their expedition. According to the archaeological team, during the night another skunk ape had slowly approached their campsite, but stayed at a distance of roughly 40 feet or so, watching the men from afar. Shortly after that last encounter, with the ape-like creature having watched them throughout the night, the men returned home and ended their expedition a couple of days early. Once home, Homer Osborne became obsessed with gathering evidence of the creatures and investigating the local claims of the skunk ape even further. Unlike his typical expeditions, Homer Osborne returned with his group to the site but not for archaeological research, but to instead investigate the skunk ape in its theorized natural habitat. Throughout the journey back to the expedition site, the group claimed to have experienced another 6 sightings and encounters with the creatures. The first having been another nighttime encounter with the creature standing outside their campsite, watching from afar. The encounter after that occurred during the day, with the men claiming that they could see the creature watching them from behind several drooping tree branches, and always trying to stay slightly out of view. Their final encounter with the creature grew more daring, with the men claiming that the creature ran past them in shallow waters during the middle of the day, seemingly becoming more playful and comfortable with the amateur team of archaeologists. Oddly enough, the men all remarked that their sightings of the creatures only took place surrounding ancient Native American burial mounds, and appeared to have become more active only after the men excavated the nearby areas. Towards the end of their investigations into the skunk ape, Homer Osborne and his team would talk with the local news agencies and provide the following quote on the existence of the creature. There were 5 of us at the time, and for years we'd hear rumours about some kind of ape man running loose in the swamps. I never paid much attention to the rumours, but I believed them after seeing that critter last spring. Since their spring sightings, the men have been unable to locate any more of the skunk ape creatures, but remark that they collectively experienced a total of 8 encounters with the creature before the end of their expeditions. So what do you make of these interesting stories? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.